Hello, everybody. Welcome to Torn Tuesday. I'm Justin, and Cliff's got the day off. He's traveling today. End of summer travels. Who knows where he goes? I hope he stays safe. He's vaccinated, as you all should be, and he's traveling and keeping his mask on. So, Cliff, I hope you stay safe, and I love you. But when you get back, I'm not gonna see you for 2 weeks at least. So, no in-person show. We're just going to keep doing this remote. Hi, everybody. I'm Justin. Torn Tuesday is live every Tuesday, and we've got a packed show today. And if you stay tuned till the end, we've got brand new, exclusive, officially licensed Middle-earth merch for all the parents out there. You're going to love this. We've been teasing it on our Facebook page, and we're going to be giving some of this stuff away tomorrow for Hobbit Day, the 22nd. So stay tuned to the end because we've got a beautiful video interview that was just sent in from our friends in Scotland at Oscha or Oscha. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce it because over here OSHA is a standards like a health and safety thing, but this is OSCHA. Owisha, that's even better. So real quick before we get to our special guest today is the 21st of September, which means on this day in 1937, The Hobbit was published. The Hobbit was published in the US and the UK. And if you go to our Twitter account, you can see a tweet thread we posted of some historical significance about The Hobbit. Because in 1937, in September of 1937, Tolkien published The Hobbit, a story about dwarves. 90 days later, literally 3 months, in December of 1937, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs came out. Literally, that year was the year of the dwarves and dwarf stories. And everyone loves to talk about how Tolkien hated Disney, but part of me has to believe that any good creative person telling stories has to feel some sort of marketplace competition with the other dwarf story that came out that within 90 days. So like it's too close for comfort, and we can dive in. I can't talk authoritatively about this. Cliff can, but I just wanted to memorialize today for the publishing of The Hobbit. Now on to the big news before we get to our special guest from Stranger Comics. Huge news. Look at this. You can see this tweet on Twitter says, "Media not displayed." Quote, "This image has been removed in response to a report from the copyright holder." Guess what? This means that this photo is so real and so important and so legit that Amazon themselves filed a DMCA notice with Twitter to take down this photo. This is the photo of the Lord of the Rings set that Amazon doesn't want you to see. This is the very, very first medium res photo we've ever seen of the Lord of the Rings. You're not gonna believe. Are you guys ready for this in the chat room? I see Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. Everybody's it. Steven says, "I've seen the photo. It doesn't give anything away." But does it? Does it? Ricardo says, "I haven't seen it. I want to see it now." Stop being a precious. Okay, guys. That's enough hype. Are you ready for the photo that Amazon does not want you to see? Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your first set pick of Numenor, the Steps of Numenor. Allegedly, this photo is from a set that most of the actors, main characters, actually walk up, and there's a viewing area right to the right at the top of these stairs, and that's where a lot of scenes were filmed, a lot of dialogue scenes. So this is kind of like a major place in Numenor where things are talked about. But that's all it is, a white stone status.
In the trees,
What do you mean dragon wings in the
Like, just look
trees?
at the branches. Look at the way the branches are folded over. Maybe there are just some scales or something. I don't know.
Ooh. Ooh, ooh. See, this is the only quality that we have, so we can't really zoom in like we could with the 8K official Amazon image. So this is a medium res screenshot of a screenshot of a frame of video from someone's phone. So this is like 3 versions removed from everything. Yes, you just heard Sebastian's voice. Boy, everyone just can't wait to talk to you guys today. So, guys, this is officially, you're looking at right now the very first set photo from Amazon's $1 billion Lord of the Rings series. It's been in production for 3 years. They've been super secretive of the whole thing. And the first leak we get is a pile of stairs.
Hang on. Are there some hobbits hiding underneath a branch? I don't know. Like, what's going on? Some Nazgul kicking around there.
There's, so we're going to try to dive in more. This is sourced from Fellowship of Fans, who also reported this weekend that Howard Shore is officially returning to Middle Earth. Howard Shore,
Yeah.
uh, Deadline reports that he's in talks. But I want to remind everybody, if you were watching, if you're a loyal watcher of this show, Torn Tuesday, you'll remember that in February of this year, when we were talking with our friend Doug Adams, he couldn't say anything at the time, but we let loose stuff we shouldn't have in February of this year. So, as far as we know, this is what we've heard. Amazon approached Howard Shore in February. They had a memorandum in place by March. And if you go back to our tweets, you'll see that we tweeted that Howard Shore is basically on board. And there was a lot of hype there, but it wasn't official. And what we heard is Howard said he's never done television. He doesn't know what it's like to do television. It's way different than delivering a feature film score, because you have to like cut everything up and record things differently. So he asked for help, or Amazon and him mutually agreed on, let's bring in a television expert. And that's the exclusive from Fellowship of Fans. Award-winning composer Bear McCreary has signed on to work with Howard Shore to compose The Lord of the Rings for the next 5 seasons. This is huge, huge news. And I can't be the ones only excited about this. So let's bring in our group. I am happy to have Sebastian and Daryl here from Stranger Comics. Hello, guys. Welcome.
Thanks a lot for having us.
Hey, what's up?
You guys, what do you think of the news that we just reported? I mean, this is kind of like huge scoops. Do you guys still get excited about these little nuggets of information from Lord of the Rings?
Yeah, of course. I mean, how can you not? I mean, it's amazing. You see steps and you suddenly become healthy and you want to start exercising and running up and down steps like you're, some health nut. But, like seeing a little hint of, was that a portal on the side of the tree?
Right?
I think it's pretty cool because I was in college getting the first set pics that you guys released of the Nazgul riding alongside the road there. And you guys had the exclusives on that on the site. And I was following that while in college over 20 years ago. And here I am on day one of the first set pics being released. I call that providential.
There's no coincidences in life. What's funny is that the first leaked set pic that made Torn famous was a wizard on a spiked wheel, impaled on a spiked wheel. I mean, that just kind of, it blew up the internet, and it blew up the printed press, and everywhere. And the fans debated because the robe looked gray. So everyone was like, is that Gandalf? He does not die like that. He does not die like on a spiked wheel. And We didn't even know where that spiked wheel scene was until the extended editions came out on DVD like 5 years later. So
Yeah.
total big thing. Guys, how important is Howard Shore's music to Middle
Dude.
Earth?
I mean, look, when I saw that in talks with, you know, and I thought, I've been in talks with ladies in relationships, and sometimes it actually goes somewhere. So sometimes I take that phrase in talks quite seriously, you know. No, but Howard Shore, I don't know, I'll be really, stop being cheeky. Howard Shore is, I mean, it creates such an evocative mood that you can't help but be completely immersed. I mean, goodness gracious, my son's mum took me to the Hollywood Bowl to see all the musical works, the orchestra, when, you know, back in the days. And music is the, you know, is a vibration of spirit, so you can't help but be transported. And Howard Shore has it just feels, it feels Lord of the Rings now. You can't, you know, you can't escape it, and why would you want to? So how wonderful to step back into that universe with him at your beneath your wings, you know.
It truly is. It's truly iconic. Like Star Wars, Indiana Jones, Howard Shore, and Lord of the Rings. Right. They're hand in hand, you know. And I regularly still hear it. It's my mom's ringtone, the Hobbit theme on violin. It's iconic. You can't separate the two, I think.
Do you think if Amazon is trying to make their own world adaptations independent of the Peter Jackson films, do you think this announcement of Howard Shore with Amazon strengthens the idea that maybe Amazon is expanding Peter Jackson's world? Or do you think they can still be their own thing, but with Howard Shore?
I think it brings them closer together. I mean, I think it totally brings them together.
You know, it's interesting though. You know, when you're creating stuff. I mean, like what we do at Stranger Comics, we create stuff, and some stuff feels very organic with certain collaborators that we work with. And sometimes they go off and they do their own thing, and then they come back into the fold, and then they go back out again. And I think, you know, it's like, you know, hand fits glove. You find yourself in familiar places that feel good to explore. So I think organically it feels like that family thread is just maybe, you know, getting that much closer. You know, you never know.
Getting close. Now, when you're drafting your fantasy stories in the world of Asunda, are you listening to Howard Shore's Lord of the Rings music?
Often, yeah. I mean, you know, I think when you go down kind of the rabbit hole of the stuff that we've created, I mean, when I write, you know, and then, you know, I'll throw it over to Darryl. When I write, I want to get into a mood first. And Howard Shore has definitely been, you know, the source of much of my writings. You know, it depends on the scene. You know, you can really kind of dance around in different areas, and the beauty of Lord of the Rings. I mean, you've got 3 incredible movies with 3 incredible, you know, scores in different emotional moments. So it gives you a nice bedrock to put your your flag down in. And you know, so a lot of, you know, for the stuff that we write, sometimes I dance also into other areas of its old jazz or spaghetti western music. You know, that's a big one for me. The old Clint Eastwood, Sergio Leone, Ennio Morricone stuff. But Howard Shore, I mean also we play a lot of tabletop role playing, right? You know, quick plug. That's why we made our Niobe Pathfinder role playing game. And Howard Shore was a very familiar friend on many a dice rolling night. So
many a game night.
Yeah. Many a game night. You know, Howard Shore and Niobe were rocking together with Darryl, you know, leading us down some dingy dungeon, you know.
Yeah, I can't keep track of how many times I've heard the clang of chains on drums and metal bars being struck to the Urukai, Isengard theme in all of our dungeon crawls. Like it was always wait, hold up before combat would start. We'd have to swap CDs in and out of the CD player. One of the things about the music that was so impressionable, though, I'll say, made me think of it, was I remember when the movies were coming out and literally getting like the soundtrack, like the special edition soundtrack a week before the movies were out. And I was like, I can't listen to this without seeing it first. But I would crack every time and I would buy it. And I would sit there and listen to the music. And I just remember being so excited to know what Shelob's Lair was going to sound like when Return of the King came out. I went straight to those tracks to hear what Shelob's Lair, what that music was like. And it's still one of my most favorite parts of that, with those eerie violins as they just are it's as creepy as the scene. And I can't picture it any other way. So it's, of course, had massive impacts on us, especially creatively. When I'm drawing, I'll throw on music. Sometimes I need to not be hearing words, and the Lord of the Rings soundtrack has always been a staple for me when it comes to like needing to zone out on drawing. So yeah.
It's the 20th anniversary of the Lord of the Rings films, so we've been doing a bunch of reunion shows, and we had the orchestra reunion. We reunited over Zoom a lot of the players and the orchestra and the musical conductor that were there on the first days of recording, and they said that it really was spare no expense, and it was the first time they'd ever worked on a film or television where the first day, where they had hundreds of musicians in, Howard Shore just sat there telling them the history of the dwarves. And the musicians were like, we have the notes. We don't need to know this. But he was like, no, you have to know this. And so he actually explained to every musician the lore behind the music. And that is time on the clock, right? Like that's
right.
So
Khazad-dûm 101, man. Seriously.
Khazad-dûm theory. I love that.
Now, right. for everybody joining on the show on all the platforms, we're Stranger Comics are no stranger to the One Ring. You guys have been on the show many, many times over the years. But the big news from a few years ago was you sold or you licensed to HBO your fantasy world, and so HBO is exploring turning your world that you guys created into the next big, huge HBO series. So I have to wonder, like, now that you're kind of on the other side of like, things could leak out. Like, how do you feel like seeing these Lord of the Rings leaks and getting hype, but then thinking, oh, wow, one of our things could leak? Like, is there like how do you feel internally about that?
I mean, the idea of something leaking sounds fantastic. I mean, I don't, like, what I mean? Like, I just, I know what it's like to geek out and feel that, like, that glimpse of something. Like, we talk a lot, obviously, about Tolkien and the works that, he had created and the impact. I mean, without him, we wouldn't exist, and all the various things that, so much wouldn't exist in our landscape. So when you're on the other side and you're seeing stuff, like I remember the movies came out and how much of an impact it made, because how much of an impact the books made on my life. The idea of, us creating something and someone else feeling that same rush that maybe they've picked up one of our books, or if they haven't, seeing something for the first time to go, oh my goodness, what is this? And that's, on a much smaller scale, has happened for us with our comic books when people discover us for the first time, whether it is a singular image, a singular, panel from a comic book, or a cover from one of our books, or one of Daryl's incredible concept pieces, that it's like, have you seen this? And then suddenly there's a rush, they get our stuff, then there's an emotional connection. And I think that's what it comes down to, is when we read Lord of the Rings, it created such an emotional connection during an important part of our life that then it resonated. It made us feel brave, or gave us courage or hope, or during our romance, or whatever that case is. And I think, without, rambling too much, that has the opportunity, that we have that opportunity, and we have experienced that through our comic books. So the idea of it happening, I mean, we're still in development, we're not in production, so we're in development. But the idea of that is, because you just see it when things are announced pertaining to a show, people get hyped,
Yeah.
man.
I mean, I even have to ask Seb, I go, am I allowed to show this? Can I show this yet? Because now, before, I would just throw it up there and be like, oh, can I do this? Like even last week, I took some risks by showing some designs for one of our main characters in a much more fantastical way. Like these are ideas that we've explored because of the show, and characters because of the stuff that we're in development on. So I'm more nervous, to answer your question, Justin. Yes, I like seeing leaks, but I'm also a little insecure about, am I allowed to share this right now, or do we have to wait?
Does the Amazon is spending, this is the biggest budget TV show in history.
Yeah, it's massive.
And it is coming out next year for the next 10 years. And you're in a development now, and, hopefully you'll be in production, in the coming months or years. So even at this early stage, do you guys feel any pressure that at the Lord of the Rings TV show is going to be so massive and so influential on pop culture that it will impact the creative decisions that go into your HBO series?
I mean, it sounds maybe a bit naive or arrogant. I don't really feel pressure, because I always look at it like this: if my friend or enemy makes $1,000 or $1 and I make $100, I still make $100. So whether they make 1,000 or $1, it has no impact on my path and my journey. I've never been one to, I don't think, to look at something and go, that's current, and go, oh my goodness, now I have to shift. At least for me, and of course, when you're at a network, there's a lot of chiefs in the kitchen, a lot of cooks in the kitchen. But for my personal sense of creation, you're on your own life path, and you want to create the stories that you want to tell, and you're going to be inspired. You just can't help but be inspired by maybe something that's current, that's happening, an event, something as global as Lord of the Rings, which is obviously the godfather of fantasy and whatnot. But I think I'm equally as inspired by maybe me discovering. I discovered some 1950s gospel music the other day, and it helped inspire some new ways for me to tell stories. And I think you're always in that, at least for me, always in that space of being open to receive inspiration, but pressure is, I mean, I'm still want to tell the story I'm going to tell.
Yeah.
At least for me, I'm excited to see it as a fan.
Yeah.
And like we talk a lot about representation, and it's like, is that going to change anything for me? No, I've always kind of done this for 30 years. So, so yeah, I'm just excited to see it as a fan.
Yeah. I'd say that too. It's like they're going to do their own thing with their big Bezos pockets. And we're going to tell the awesome, intimate story that we've always wanted to tell. And so it's just more cake. Like, it's like, I can't wait. I think, some of the DC stuff's been kind of a dud for me. I can't wait for the new Batman movie. I can't wait for some of this new Marvel stuff. Like, it's all, for me, it's nerddom. It's all that fun nerddom that we all like. And as a geek, it's a good time to be alive.
Right.
It really is. To be blessed with the fact that I got to grow up in college and see the Lord of the Rings with my friends and family live in the theaters was a huge deal for me. Yeah. I was such a Tolkien rat all my whole life. To be blessed with that, and then now to get to see that set photo of the two trees, from the Silmarillion, and I'm like, what am I seeing right now? It was so cool. There's nothing but good vibes going that way, and I think there's good things coming our way. So it's just enjoy it.
I'm not a big fan of like all boats rise, on
Mhm.
someone's success, but I just I do believe that uh Amazon will not let Lord of the Rings fail, and they will throw out. They have so much money that they can throw out entire season if it's not working, right? Like, and the proof of that money is that Howard Shore and Bear McCreary, two of the most expensive film composers working today, teaming up and then doing a Lord of the Rings quality soundtrack for a TV show. We're talking. This is the music budget, I promise you, is bigger than most TV shows. Period. Like
Yeah, I can believe that.
it's just huge. And the other thing I'm really excited about with this Amazon show is no one in America knows who Lenny Henry is. And Seb, what character do you think Lenny Henry would play in Lord of the Rings? Is
I
he a
mean,
dwarf? Is he a halfling? Is he an elf?
isn't he being a dwarf? Isn't he a dwarf? Maybe. I the thing with the Lenny is like I grew up watching Lenny, and it's interesting. I watched him on I think he was on the third season of Broadchurch, which was a murder mystery. And I'm a huge murder mystery fanatic. I feel like I'm just missing home and missing England and missing murder and mystery. I don't know. I'm just missing England. But I remember seeing Lenny Henry. Oh my God, that's bloody Lenny Henry. But I grew up on Lenny Henry as such a legend in British comedy. I mean, he's Sir Lenny Henry, and it just that was my childhood. Was that? So it's just I always think it's just fun to see actors that are known for certain things, which Lenny is known for being a British comedian. Find new chapters in their lives, and it's just that's to me that's what I geek out about. It's seeing him spread his wings in these other areas, and whether it's very serious and there's no comedic thing whatsoever because there wasn't in Broadchurch. I think it's like Robin Williams, a genius dramatic actor, and one of the all-time greatest comedians. So I'm sure whatever he does, he's so gifted, it's just going to be gold.
Have you pictured Lenny Henry for any of your characters in your world of Sunda?
I haven't. I go, it's so funny. I think when I was younger, I think Daryl and I used to do this. We used to probably picture actors, like, oh my God, like a lot of the kind of the go-tos, like our character Larry Ellen the Untamed. Ooh, Monica Bellucci would be perfect for that, and then,
Yeah.
and then, oh, this person would be perfect for that. And I think of the last 10 years, and maybe I just, well, okay, let me ask you, Justin, when you read, do you picture actors when you read characters in books? Exactly. So the last 10 years or so, the more 15 years or so, where I've been really writing, I don't picture actors when I'm creating. I just picture who I picture in my head, and then want to see them on, and then obviously with Daryl's layouts and the artists and sometimes Daryl's amazing pencil work, we find their look and feel in that creation, so don't ever really picture actors. Oh, we lost Daryl. That's crazy. We lost Daryl.
Yeah, you scared. Well, so does the HBO show run the risk of affecting your imagination because now your characters will be associated with a person's visage?
That's a great question. I mean, I teach, when I teach a lot of like young comic writers that are in a very hurry to get their shows picked up, get their books picked up by networks, is, obviously if God willing our show gets made, 99% of people would have seen Niobe and the World of Asunder via television first, and then they'll have that association. It's like my son. He loves the Hulk, he loves Avengers, he loves all that stuff, but his introduction is not in comic books, it's through Chris Evans as Captain America. It's your first introduction now, and that's just the way it is. And to be honest, I think I'm in good hands, and I think you follow kind of your path, and it'll work out. I feel very good about all that kind of stuff, And yeah, it's all good. It's all good. I don't really care about that stuff.
Totally.
Yeah.
And I've heard it's been reported in the news, AT&T bought Warner Brothers that owns HBO, and now they're just selling it to Discovery. So it might actually work out best that, you're not fully in production until the new bosses take over next year.
At COVID.
And COVID, you weren't in production during COVID. And
Right.
a lot of things got shut down because they were in production, they got shut down, and then everyone kind of looked at it and said, well, this doesn't really work in a post-COVID world, like
Yeah.
the topics and themes. The cool thing about your World of Asunda is the themes are universal and just are an escape as much as anything.
Yeah, I think the difference, what we try to do, versus obviously, when you have a big fantasy world, and Darren and I have been creating it for years and years, is you're often immediately compared to, right? You're compared
Yeah.
to Lord of the Rings, you're compared to Arthurian tales, you're compared to, and if you have black lead characters and Black Panther comes out, you're compared to Black Panther just because you have a black lead character. And then it becomes more and more myopic with your comparisons. So I think what Daryl and I try to do is really kind of make the themes, as you said, Justin, human themes, very relatable, intimate, that Daryl's touching on. Themes that we could relate to on a real personal level, on an intimate personal level, and then you can explore this giant world that we feel is giant. I mean, we've been at this for a long time. We don't have the pockets as Amazon or the big two comic companies. Otherwise, we might have a few more books out. But from what I can gather, we might be the only comic franchise in the US, at least, that has a shared fantasy universe in comics, which is why we have these giant tome hardcovers for folks to kind of collect and dive into, these books and experience that. So we really looked at that as, okay, we got a big fantasy universe. How can we be a Marvel universe of fantasy, so to say? We have all these comics that you can, like any comic fan or any fan of, let's say, an Avengers or a Star Wars or Lord of the Rings, they can tie threads together, but introduce them not in this massive, giant landscape where we're off to take one thing from here all the way over here. Let me start with something really intimate that you can relate to on a personal level, and then we can go and explore the world. Yeah. So that was kind of our
now that's that stack of books that you just held up. Each of those is a self-contained individual story. Like, it's not overwhelming. Like, I got to read all those books to get caught up. No. Each of those is a full complete thought.
Right. Yeah. So we have the Untamed. That's where you first, meet Niobe. And then and that's a volume. And there are 7 issues in that. And what Daryl and I and Josh, our other partner, what we do is we make sure we cram in back matter, concept art, bonus prose material to read, all these various things. And then we have Niobe's story. And then we have, for example, we have this one right now, which we came out with. This is called Dusu, Path of the Ancients. And you've got, this is a story of Niobe's tribe that she hasn't met yet. And so, you've got all these wonderful things. And here is Daryl's creation, the lead villain, that our buddy Webster painted, the Ancient of the Wolf that comes hunting this tribe. And as you start to put all these bits and bobs together, so it allows you to understand that these are standalone stories, but the world does feel big. And the current Kickstarter that I know you're going to yap about is we're starting to thread finally some of these ties together, which is really exciting.
But I want to get to the Kickstarter, but before we do that, just staying on this thread, what you just explained, it just reminds me of everything we've read about J.R.R. Tolkien, where he wrote all these small stories while he was at war, all the way to on his deathbed, you know, after his wife had died. He had wrote all these stories, and at some point in the middle of his life, he said, I can connect all these.
Right.
And then the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit gave him the financial stability and the core audience, where he started where he had the Silmarillion that he wanted to get published before Lord of the Rings, because the Silmarillion was, you know, the building blocks of everything else. But the publisher was like, "Ugh, don't tell a story first," and then and so it wasn't until 5 years after Tolkien died that we even heard about we even got the Silmarillion and got these building blocks. And so the way you're approaching, you know, your universe is just kind of feels familiar.
Yeah.
Well, you know, that's good company to be in, you know. I guess we're doing something right, you know. You know, but I think what Darren and I try to do is, when we are creating these stories, a lot of times my mom always says, write what you know. So sometimes they're just very intimate, personal stories, very intimate, personal stories that reflect sometimes our own inhibitions and our vulnerabilities, our ambitions, our wrath, frustrations, our need to be a better person, and all these various themes that we all can kind of relate to. And then we set them within these backdrops within our world, whether it is a desert town like in the Untamed, whether it's the Ugoma jungle like in the Dusu book, whether it's in Sharbegenhem with the Erathun temple in the Scandinavian part of our world that Starr really created in Hurfang. So you get to see different landscapes and different pockets, but the themes with the characters, whether you're a dwarf or you're an elf or a hobbit, you know, they should just feel that there's humanity to them, so you can relate, and you can then see the world through their eyes. You know, I think that's the beauty of Tolkien, right? Is we all put ourselves in Bilbo's shoes, and we went off in the adventure as Bilbo. I mean, that's genius, you know.
In the before times, you guys would go to all the conventions. I'd see you there everywhere. New York, San Diego, everywhere. What kind of feedback did you get from fans at conventions? Of like, what were people responding to in your books?
Oh, everything. I mean, you know, a lot of times people would see, we had a huge banner of Niobe, this particular image, the giant banner of this. You're breaking up a little bit, bro. I don't know if it's the 5G
internet
or the internet. Yeah. So we would have these two banners of the J. Lee Niobe and this by Hyung. For video game fans out there, the artist that does The Last of Us does this. This is J. Lee, who works with Stephen King on The Dark Tower. So we would see these big banners up there, and people would see this and be like, oh, I've never really seen stuff like that on such a large scale. So they would stop. And it didn't really matter what background they were from, but obviously if they were Black or brown folks, they would resonate immediately with seeing something so powerful. But if you're just fans of fantasy or fans of genre, Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, whatever it is, they would come up and say, what is this? You know, whether they were run up, like, oh my God, what is this? There's a lot of that. And a lot of trepidation. What is this? Skepticism. What is this? You know, depending on who they are, where they're from. And but once we give the pitch and the story and you see the kind of the realities and the story realities and the way we kind of show our books and present them and who's involved and all those types of things, all the kind of the trepidation kind of melts away into, oh my goodness, I must be a part of this movement. I must get to know 100%. These stories. And it's, yeah. And a lot of times we get people crying. I mean, it sounds dramatic.
I've seen it. You guys are some of the best storytellers in print and in person. I've seen your magic, and I'm a big fan. Now, you know, conventions for small publishers like you and a lot of us is a way we can connect with fans, like-minded people, and you get to see your audience and have that dialogue in person. Right. and
Right.
they tell you what the stories mean to them and everything like that. And I know that the pandemic has been incredibly hard on every Comic Con regular exhibitor, not just financially, because that's like half your income. For most convention people, like Comic Cons are a huge. The pandemic's been hard, but the emotional loss has been not getting that feedback. So when I saw that you launched this Kickstarter this month, and it was fully funded in 7 minutes, that I was just like, his tribe is here, and it almost felt like you have a crowd around your booth again. How did you feel seeing the instant support from your fans?
Oh, I felt like, yeah, good. You should. No, I felt very humbled. I felt very relieved, incredibly thankful. I mean, I honestly just incredibly thankful to the people that lift us up, and that obviously they want to see more of what we got, more stories to tell. But I think it really showed a level of that honest relationship that we have with our fans. Even if we have a small fan base, the fan base is extremely devoted, and we feel like we say we are the stranger family. So it is incredibly humbling to experience.
Is this the fastest that any of your projects have been fully funded? I mean,
Yeah.
7 minutes.
7 minutes. Yeah, it was crazy. To Stephen R. Actually the graphic novels, they're all comic book, but the graphic novels themselves, they all have like the Untamed, they all have prose in them as well. So if you're a reader, and I've been told I write comic books like a novelist, which is now and again more of a slow burn than a lot of comics, which do very kind of plot heavy up front. So if you want to check it out and you're into novels, we've got poetry in here. I can give you the pitch, and I have to split in 5 minutes. And then Daryl, if you want, you can come and take my seat, because there's a lot more kind of clear in here.
Yeah, the
I can hear you.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, bro, if you can then take over my seat. I don't need to be on this next one on a Zoom.
Okay.
My meeting's on a call. So just to kind of give you guys the pitch in the chat for how you first meet Niobe. All right. So the story is about a man who's stuck in purgatory. After 10 years, the devil comes along. He says, "I'll give you 7 days to reap the 7 souls that murdered you and your family." He says, "Sign me up." He takes a drifter's return to a one-horse town in a huge world. As his memory comes back in broken shards, he realizes he was a bad man and maybe he deserved to die, but now he's on a path to save his family. On his path of vengeance, he meets a little elven girl called Niobe, and she reminds him of how old his murdered daughter would have been. Given this man a second chance to be a good man or a father, he only has 7 days. The kicker is, what if she's one of the 7 souls he has to collect? And the devil set the whole thing up just to find her. Would you damn your family to save the world? Or would you damn the world to save your family? Because if Niobe can stay alive in the Untamed, the Sinner's Prayer, she might grow up to become our world's Aragorn. And then from there, you can kind of get into her own stories of Niobe Shear's life, Niobe Shear's death. And what's been really fun for this Kickstarter and this particular project is you get to meet Niobe. Imagine her on the run, like a young Jedi on the run with her Obi-Wan type character, Dura. And Dura, they're on the run for the Sauron of the world, right? Named Vasta, this big undead. You scroll down, you'll probably see a nice image of Vasta. And she's got to impart all this wisdom to a young Niobe who it's a lot for her to handle. So it's an on the go young Jedi learning who she might become. But Niobe also has the duality of spirit, because she's not only half elven, she's half angel, half demon, to reflect the duality of spirit we all share. So if you're into those types of things, this will be your jam.
Is that Dura?
That is Dura, yes. That's the creator of the world right there. Absolutely.
Wow. That's amazing. Beautiful art.
Thank you. Yeah, keep scrolling down and you'll see Vastar. He'll feel very Sauron-esque. So look, there's David Mack, for folks that don't know. He did a lot.
You got David Mack?
Yep, David
That's
Mack.
That's huge.
Yep, he's done a lot of covers for us. Keep scrolling down. There's Nybian Dura again, with hair braiding. There's our reading order for you guys that want to know more about the world. There's another image of the Untamed. One of our cosplayers, Aaliyah, as Niobe.
That's beautiful.
And then here you go. There you go. There's your big bad, folks. There's Vastar, Daryl's creation. Vastar, the first son of the devil.
Now, you know, I think people might have a weird a perspective of like, is this a comic book or is it a graphic novel? Can you just flip through the pages? Like, these are full colored, glossy pages. This is not like a black and white comic book like your daddy used to have. Like, every page is a work of art, and the art does as much storytelling as the words. Like,
thank you. Yeah, we've got some. I mean, like, Daryl is the main daddy behind all this, so he's responsible for how beautiful these books look.
Yeah, I mean, but every single page is just a beautifully. It's oversized. It's not the size of a comic. This is
right.
Hardcover and softcover, but you know, presentation worthy.
They're coffee table books. They're meant to be your beautiful, oversized, sit on your coffee table mantelpiece, beautiful hardcover books. And for folks that don't know, folks that care, Niobe Shear's life, and I do have to split, unfortunately, to hop on this executive meeting, is Niobe Shear's life is the first ever nationally distributed comic book with a Black female author, artist, and hero in the history of entertainment. So if you support Niobe, you're actually supporting a piece of history. So that is a piece of history that you can get on the Kickstarter and start to enjoy putting all this world together. So, well, look at me, I'm doubled up. Look at that. So yeah, so that's that. So if you're into that kind of stuff and you love the representation, that's your jam. I'm gonna go and grab Daryl, who's gonna take over this, or he's coming in here right now, and I'm gonna love and leave you and say, hey guys, thank you so much in the chat for listening to me ramble. If you forget anything, Niobe and Dura, type that in Google. You'll find it on the Kickstarter. We have 5 days left, and we're smashing records and making history. And come along for the ride. You might like it. So
it's so good.
More high res, you know,
and not crap internet connection. We have the same computer. I don't get what's up.
Well, thank you to Sebastian Jones for joining us to talk all about this. And so, you know, we had some connection issues, so we weren't getting everything you were saying, Daryl. But you know, going back on this Kickstarter, this is huge. I mean, you've got 799 backers. You're over 114,000. Where does this book fit into the story?
Okay, so it basically, the Niobe and Dura story is literally, there's a moment in a flashback sequence in Niobe Shear's death where she is a young, like 5-year-old, 4-year-old girl, where she is being hunted by the Untamed, Vastar, essentially. And it was just a couple of pages and it was a flashback sequence. And Seb really wanted to explore that further. So now we're telling that story of that flashback from that one moment in Shear's death. We are now telling that entire story and simultaneously kind of doing some Silmarillion territory in Asunda, where you're actually going to get an idea of how the world was created, what caused the rift, what and why someone like Niobe is needed in our world at this time to like be a savior, essentially. So it's extremely exciting. And it's funny. Yeah.
So is this after? So this fall in the timeline here. I'm kind of looking at the Kickstarter after Niobe, She Is Death 2, and before Arathun.
Yeah. Yeah, those are the core books. And then there are other single issues and graphic novels in development right now where we kind of hop around a little bit. It was like when you guys were talking about like Tolkien working on the Silmarillion, but then having stories within there. Well, we have that kind of content where we're choosing to publish graphic novels and single issue comic books telling certain aspects of our version of our Silmarillion. Right now with Niobe and Dura, you'll see it's that last book there on the bottom right. That book is dealing with like some kind of more Morgoth and Sauron kind of stuff. Like it's two Titan gods facing off each other that are brother and sister, and this little girl is now caught in the mix where she's like could go either way, and we're exploring all those themes throughout other graphic novels. The book in the middle there is Morkamoa, Rise of the Jade Lord, where there's this individual holding up Niobe as an infant. Even from her birth, it was prophesied that this bastard would come and wage war upon the servants of Ashnu-Karum. And it's like tons of nerdy kind of stuff where it'd be like the orcs prophesying that a hobbit would have the One Ring, and they were slaughtering hobbits like by the droves and sacrificing them to make sure hobbits weren't ever able to carry the One Ring, you know? So it's a lot of that kind of thing that we're up to right now. And both Morkamoa issues 1 and 2, Dura issue 1, Path of the Ancient, and Untamed Still a Fool issue 2 are all on this current Kickstarter. So it's all very related and connected. Like Niobe meets her brother for the first time in issue 2 of Still a Fool, and that's Wasso. He's one of the main characters in Dusu Path of the Ancient, a book that was completed over 7 years ago. So we jump around a lot, man. It's loads of fun. It's loads of fun. And we have a huge sandbox, Justin. We have a huge sandbox that we play in. It's great. I love it.
Yeah, so I'm looking at the Kickstarter here, and to jump in at right now, it's it looks like for $10, I get the digital graphic novels, and I can jump in for $10.
Yeah, you get the single issues there. I think there's even some other ones where you get other level tier of pledges digitally too.
Tell Justin we're one away from 800. So
yeah, we're one away from 800.
So get someone to be that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, come on. People that are watching the show, come on. We don't ask much of you on this free show we've been doing for 10 years. Let's get that to 800 right now. It is at $7.99. You know what? Let me hit refresh right now. Come on, 800. We're at $7.99, guys. It's $10. It's $10. Let's get Sebastian and Daryl over the 800 right now with 5 days left in this Kickstarter. So out of all the rewards, which one do you like most? I mean, what is your artist pack?
Well, if you keep rolling down, we're probably closer to the $100 range. Like, for instance, here are 3 drawings I did today. These are drawings of Dura that when people buy the comic books or pledge on the Kickstarter with the artist tier, they're going to get an original sketch like this on a Dura and Niobe issue 1. I do these in complete, these are all inks. There's not an ounce of pencil. I use whiteout and ink for each of these. And so fans that have already pledged, I've already started drawing for some different fans of ours. And this is Dura. She's got antlers that grow out of her afro there, butterfly wings, the whole 9.
You're going to have to do 800 of these drawings?
No, not quite. Last time, that's at a specific tier. So it's like $100 and something for that tier or more. But I've sold quite a few. I had to do over 125 drawings on the Ruining Christmas Kickstarter a while back. That was a brutal amount of work. And these are cool. The fans will be really stoked on these when they get them. And we like to incentivize our fans. Like this by itself normally would sell for around $200.
Oh yeah, and
But
I've seen you guys at Comic-Con, and you guys are sold out
yeah.
after the first day.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
honestly, it's hard to keep up that pace at Comic Cons when you're drawing and stuff. But your people are getting a $200 original piece of art from me and the company for less than that. It's just we incentivize our fan base. So
we've got some questions in the chat. Ken wants to know from Facebook: are any of these books standalone graphic novels, or is it all this interconnected, one vast, overwhelming story?
It's all of that. Okay, so if you wanted to read Arathun from beginning to end, the 4-issue hardcover, you could enjoy it and be done with it. You can watch essentially, certain TV shows and you have to continue on to know what's happening, 10 episodes kind of thing. We're doing that kind of episodic storytelling, but we always make sure our graphic novels are complete stories. There's always going to be explanation. But if you really want to know who Luke Skywalker is, you can't just watch Star Wars.
Right.
You can enjoy it. Yeah. It's a standalone. I'm going to enjoy the movie and watch it 100 times. But it's like watching Fellowship of the Ring. You have to keep watching.
Well, some will say if you want to know who Luke Skywalker is, don't watch the sequel trilogy because that's not the Skywalker than any.
That's so true, man. No, hey, but you know what I mean. Yeah, they're each if it's collected, it's a standalone story. For instance, the Untamed Killing Floor, the second volume of the Untamed, it helps to have read the first volume of the Untamed. Not necessary, but highly recommended. Dusu you can read on its own. The Untamed you can read on its own. Arathun you can read on its own. Niobe Shia's Life you can read on its own. But then there is the sequel to Niobe Shia's Life, which is Niobe Shia's Death. But Niobe is
it's a different phase in life, right?
Yeah, it's just different storytelling. But they're meant to be enjoyed. You don't want to pick up issue 3 of Niobe Shia's Death if you haven't read issue 1, 2. You know what I mean?
So this Kickstarter right now, Niobe and Dura, is is this the start of a new story? Is this or an ancillary to an existing story, or is this particular Kickstarter a nice standalone, fulfilling story?
Okay, so for this Kickstarter, the first issue of Niobe Shia and Dura, there will be a second issue. You can read that first issue and fully enjoy it. For instance, there's also Morkamoa issues 1 and 2 on this Kickstarter. I'm finishing the 6th issue, which will be the complete graphic novel of Morkamoa. So that'll be done by and I'll be back on art production on that pretty shortly here. By this time next year, our next Kickstarter will probably have the Morkamoa graphic novel, which will be all 6 issues, all 150 some odd pages that I've written and drawn. So
breaking news.
Ooh, what do we got?
800 backers. We are at 800 backers. It just ticked over. Look at that. You guys are amazing.
That's so cool. The Torn Tuesday crowd, man. You guys rock. That's so good, man.
$10, you can join the world of Asunda. And we've got over the since we guys had you on last year, I believe.
Yeah, Seb was on, last year.
I
was on the year before that.
Right, yeah. And I think you came to the cantina when we were in the before times.
The before times.
But in the way before times, years ago, you guys, the start of our relationship with this world of Asunda was because Sean Bean is the star of the Untamed, one of their first hit graphic novels.
Oh yeah, and they can still go to YouTube, punch in the Untamed A Sinner's Prayer issue 1 video, and you can still hear him on there. It's like a quick little minute, and he says, "I was dead mad," in his deadpan Sean Bean voice.
And he's drawn. Yeah. You drew his likeness into the character.
Yeah, we've got that image right here. I'll show it to you. It's so awesome. He's such a good dude. Let's see here.
So this was our introduction to this world of Asunda. Sean Bean has been working with Stranger Comics on the Untamed, and there was a whole pitch, and they've got an audio clip, book clip version on YouTube. And I'm telling you, this world, even though every story is connected, each book is a wonderful story on its own.
Oh yeah.
Like you can one and done a story, but you won't want to.
Yeah, you'll want more. That's usually what we get. We get people ordering one graphic novel from us, and then the next thing you know, they're buying everything from us. So it's pretty common, and that's what I love. Like, I'm a big Spider-Man fan. I read Spider-Man every month, twice a month, with 2 issues. I've been that way for years. I love it. I want it to keep going. I want to know what he's up to next. Is it working out with him and Mary Jane? Oh, the Goblin's back. We're in trouble. It's just, you pick your fandom. And it's like with the new Lord of the Rings series, I've actually kept myself out of spoiler territory, but the geek in me goes, wait, there's an image and we don't know if it's Galadriel or who it is. And the hair is short, you freak out about these things, and you got to know.
I mean, let's bring up the leaked image of the stairs from today. Guys, this is the first set photo with no digital compositing, no special effects. This is just some tree branches and some stairs.
I wonder if someone got fired for that.
Well, Fellowship of Fans, here's what happened. So Fellowship of Fans has been one of the best accounts that has been getting all the scoops during production, and credit to him. And so he acquired this, gave it to one of his buddies, who deleted his Reddit account and then posted it on his Twitter account that has like 20 followers, like a nothing account. And that account got copyright struck on Twitter. Like Twitter does copyright now. Again, let's bring that up. Guys, Twitter's doing copyright hits for this photo. So like the leaks are getting it's amazing. But I wanted to bring you into the side conversation that the YouTube chat has been having during the show, and I think everybody has been able to see the chat on screen. But there's been a discussion during this show about whether Amazon's show should be in the same cinematic universe as Peter Jackson's world. And I will remind people that Christopher Tolkien hated the movies. So as a creator and as a publisher and as a co-creator on these stories, and as HBO has now licensed and developing a feature, a television show, an HBO series like Game of Thrones in your world, how do you? Are there things that you can do as a creator and a fan of your own work to not be disappointed as Christopher Tolkien was in the films? Because like obviously you have to let go of some control. Filmmakers are great storytellers on their own, and they adapt for the medium that they create in, and so there will be creative adjustments.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
So I guess how to to connect it to the chat room conversation is that how do we as fans prepare ourselves for a world that may not connect to what became before, that we fell in love with?
I mean, for me, I'm okay with that. Like, the Lord of the Rings stands on its own. The Hobbit series stands on its own. It's its own thing, very connected with actors and whatnot, and obviously the music and directing and producing teams and whatnot. But The Hobbit felt very different to me than Lord of the Rings in many ways. And I think a new, fresh take on Middle Earth that takes place in the Second Age, I think will be an awesome thing. I don't want to see an old Ian McKellen. I want to see a young actor playing a young Gandalf a younger Gandalf.
Well,
okay
that's not canon. Gandalf only showed up in Middle Earth as an old man. He was
okay,
never a young man.
okay. So that's great. I love that
But
idea right there. But
as a
yes,
fan, you want to see
yeah,
that.
yeah. Like as in my subconscious, like a younger Galadriel. Like,
Yeah.
am I right in saying that I've heard the rumors that Kate Blanchett is doing voiceover for this series? Am I wrong? Am I off
I have
base on
not
that?
heard that. I have not heard that rumor.
Okay,
What
I
what
the
if
nerd.
your elf erds here?
I don't know, but part of me, I was reading something and someone was talking about it probably because I don't know if this rumor is true or not. But for me, as a creator, I'm okay with seeing Niobe in a movie played by one actress and then a Niobe older being played by another actress on a television series. I'm 100% fine with that. I'm also going to be 100% fine with seeing Tobey Maguire running alongside Andrew Garfield and what's his name, the young kid,
Tom Highland.
yeah, Tom Holland, in some kind of mashup Spider-Verse Spider-Man film. My Geek Radar is like spinning right now with this new Spider-Man series coming out, seeing Alfred Molina as Dr. Octopus. The best of the Spider-Man movies is Spider-Man 2. So that being said, I'm okay with these things. I would love to see a young actress play Niobe in an Untamed film, and I would want to see a different, more mature, older actress play her as in Niobe She Is Death. And I would be 100% fine with that. And, I think we have a lot of stories to tell, and I think a new fresh take from the Amazon series is going to be a great thing. And having Howard Shore play the music, he'll be writing beautiful themes that'll tie in the stuff that we already love in its own way. We probably won't hear the Uruk-hai theme in this series because the Uruk-hai theme is its own thing in the Lord of the Rings movies. So let the brilliance and creativity of Howard Shore and this other composer that you mentioned create something new. What is the Numenorian sound?
Yeah.
Like, what is Ungoliant gonna sound like?
So how
You know what I mean? Like it's
as a creator of these written paper published stories,
yeah.
how does it feel that more is going to be added to this world that you created and lived in?
Mm-hmm.
And someone somewhere is going to be writing scripts and
Mm-hmm.
designing sets and doing a whole thing that you didn't come up with.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that because that's where we're at with Lord of the Rings. The chapters, the few chapters from the Silmarillion are this big,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
Amazon is spending $1 billion to expand on 30 pages of text.
Yeah.
So as a creator yourself, are you encouraged? Are you nervous that other people are coming in to expand your lore and may take it in directions you hadn't thought possible?
Well, it's interesting. Just in the screenwriting process last year, just hearing and seeing, just some of the stuff that they were doing with the writers and whatnot. It was brilliant. It's fresh. It's a fresh take. And I like reading stuff that people come up with. And I mean, I do all of the designs. Of course, at some point, someone else is going to be drawing stuff that I created. So to me, it's kind of humbling and it's cool. And I hope they come up with the best thing possible. And it's HBO, so they do great quality entertainment. So at some point you have to let go of your babies sometimes. If you want it to get made,
Yeah.
you can't sit in your little art studio holding pages like this and not letting anyone see it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a process. We're taking it to the next medium. We have total control of the creative side of it on the publishing. I've got $1 billion worth of production value with a pencil in my hand. Let's see what this new machine and this new avenue can bring to the table. I'm excited for it. I'm not worried about the scary stuff. Like, oh, they're going to ruin it. I can't think that way. I want people to make it better and bring a bigger audience to Niobe.
That's so good. Well, folks, support Sebastian and Daryl and Stranger Comics on Kickstarter right now. Search for Niobe, Niobe. It is active right now on Kickstarter. It has the green badge, funded in 7 minutes. It's got 801 backers now. We got another
Nice.
backer.
Another one.
Um,
Awesome. So cool.
It's amazing to see the support. It's amazing how fast this is funded, and to see the support. And we talked about how not having conventions and not having that interaction with fans and fellow geeks has been hard on a lot of people, as much as the financial hit. So this has to be encouraging to know that your fans are still there.
Yeah, and they're hungry for it. They want to see Niobe on that TV screen as much as we do. And this is a real beautiful thing that people have done by supporting us, and we appreciate it so much. And it's so humbling. That's the only word, like Seb said it earlier. It's so humbling to see people support us this way. And that's all I can really say about it.
So, the world is starting to open back up. Are we going to see you at New York Comic Con or the special San Diego Comic Con Thanksgiving edition?
No, won't be at Thanksgiving edition. Like I won't. Maybe some of the other teams.
Some of us have families.
My grandma will kill me if I go. Because a lot of families couldn't do Thanksgiving and holidays last year. So they expect people to sell all weekend long. I don't understand it, but we wanted to go to New York, but it's looking more and more like we won't. But we do want to go to Seattle. Seattle Comic Con's in December. Normally it's in March. So yeah, it's just you got to take things as it is, one step at a time. We all know someone in different ways who have been affected by COVID, like actually catching it, and some people not pulling through. It's been a hard couple of years, but we're all very much eager and ready to get back to it, so, but I think, no reason to rush it and make mistakes.
Yeah, totally. I'm not ready to go to San Diego. I'm not ready to go to conventions, personally, even though, I'm vaxxed and the whole deal, and I'll wear a mask, but I'm just not there yet. Yeah, you're in the house with Sebastian, and you're still masked up.
Yeah, but we're back, so it's all good. Yeah,
that's so good. Well, look, all the best to you and Sebastian. Thank you guys for coming on and sharing your world again, the world of Asunda, with the Lord of the Rings audience. And and the reason we keep having you back, we all love Tolkien, but I have to tell everybody, if you love Middle Earth and you liked Game of Thrones and you liked the Wheel of Time series, this is on par with all of the greatest fantasy. It just happens to be in a graphic novel form instead of 8 books. The 8th hasn't been written, George. But
but we're about to take that plunge into the next stratosphere. Into the next phase of this whole thing. So get in on it now.
Yeah, HBO, don't mess around.
Oh, it's so good.
Well,
yeah.
Daryl,
thank
you, and thank you for your excitement on the stairs picture.
Oh man, it's so cool. I mean, think about it. I was looking at your guys' posts in like 1999, dude, or whatever year it was. And now here I am today with the first set leak photo live. I've been a fan of you guys for years. I'm a huge Tolkien rat, and I've taken it to the next step. And that's my career, is building and creating fantasy like the master himself did.
I know. Yeah. Like you took your fandom, and made a career out of it. You
guys were partly responsible for that by keeping me fed with this stuff. When I should have been grading, or not grading, but doing papers in college.
Yeah, doing paper. Yeah. One last thought, and I forgot to bring this up when Sebastian was here, but I told you we've been doing all these reunions for Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
So we had the former vice president of marketing for New Line.
Okay. Oh wow! I think was that recently.
It was a few months ago, and it was amazing. He's like, you guys were tough but fair, and he's like, you guys wanted to leak everything, and he's like, let me give you my perspective as a vice president of the studio. He's like, compare it to a comic book. The first thing people see is the cover, and you want that first impression to be this the
Yeah.
biggest selling point possible.
Yeah.
So, I understand Amazon saying no one should see this photo. In fact, we're going to Twitter DMCA it and not make sure no one sees it, because Amazon, who's spending $1 billion, doesn't want the first impression of their $1 billion series to be a bunch of empty stone steps.
Yeah.
And do you relate to that from like a cover perspective, creating all these variant covers? I saw the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill inspired variant cover on your Kickstarter. So, how important is that first impression? And do you think
it depends on what it is? Like specific, like for instance, like the powerful image of Niobe, we didn't share this till it was done. But an incomplete version of this cover would have really been frustrating if the artist working on it had started posting and spoiling, a work in progress. That I get. And like when we get stuff in from Jay Lee or David Mack, it's up to us to share it. And sometimes I'll do layouts and compositions of things where Sebastian will be like, hey, fan base, which one do you like more? And we did that. You'll see it. My favorite cover done by our friend Iga. She's in Germany, and it's Nunca, a character I created and wrote into Morkamoa. She's holding Niobe like this, and you'll see her holding a baby Niobe looking at the reader, and her eyes, it's this infant baby, and her eyes are off colored like Niobe's are, obviously. It's my favorite image, but we showed her layouts of 6 possible versions of that cover to our fans and said, what do you like more? And they were like, she looks like she's in distress here. We want to see a powerful woman who's like guarding this Messiah. And like, it was all this conversation like was around it. And we were even like, I don't know which one to pick because it was so close on 2 of them. But then finally Seb and I were like, let's go with this one, and we finally decided on it. And it's my favorite cover of a book that I wrote and drew. It's not even my cover, and it's my favorite cover. It's so good. But in that instance, we wanted to spoil it. We wanted our fans to feel like they were a part of that decision-making process. So in this case, it worked to our advantage, and it's the best possible outcome. Not only are Seb and I and Josh super happy with it, but our fans are super happy with it too. So yeah. So yeah.
Well, keep up the good work. I love that you're working with some of the best artists in the world, artists I'm a fan of, and you're getting great work out of them. And you started this, and a decade later, you're still going, and you got the HBO thing going, and successful Kickstarters, and God, it's just great.
Good things come to those who wait. We got to
work hard
and work hard. Yeah, and be patient. And we'll keep you guys fully updated. We get any big massive news, we'll let you know. So
perfect.
All right, bro. Have a good one. Thank you.
All right.
You said hi.
Will do. Thanks, Daryl. Thanks, Sebastian. Thanks for everybody.
Bye.
Yeah, for sure. All right, guys. We've got one more wonderful exclusive for you. Thanks for sticking by an extra long show. We have the debut of a new official Lord of the Rings Middle Earth Oscha, what do they call it? Middle Earth baby wrap. Let me bring it up on screen because the website is oskaslings.com, and they have a whole Middle Earth collection of baby slings. Oh my gosh, look at this one. Oh, my sister's gonna love this. This is I'm getting this for a Christmas present for sure. Ancients of Gondor Sindar baby wrap. There it is. Isn't this awesome? Look at the textures on the material. These are all made in Scotland, down the street from where they're going to shoot season 2 of Amazon's Lord of the Rings show. Oh wow, it's a backpack too. Oh man, you can take your kid anywhere and carry him like Frodo. Okay, all right. Man, I had so many of my friends make babies during the pandemic. So I guess I got my Christmas shopping sorted for many of my friends because they've got there's this whole wow, there's 3 pages of this. Rohan Eowyn. Oh boy, let me see this. Where's the Rohan Eowyn? Oh, they got mugs, map of Middle Earth, Rivendell mug. Agents of Gondor. All right, where's that Rohan? Maybe they sold out of it. Um, wow, this is just beautiful, beautiful patterns and material. So you can go to Oscha, Oscha, slings.com. And we have Green Dragon, long time contributor, volunteer. We're all volunteers at theonering.net, editor of the One Ring, and you might have seen her at conventions. But she got on Zoom with the Oscha. I hope I'm saying that right. The Oscha people, and to debut the brand new pattern. So this is a big reveal for the new pattern for the new baby sling. And then check it out tomorrow. If you go to our Facebook and their Facebook, they'll be giving away some prizes for Hobbit Day. Tomorrow is Hobbit Day. The day after, basically, it's Bilbo's birthday and Frodo's birthday, September 22nd. And September 21st is when the book was published. Interesting how Tolkien did that. So, without further ado, let me get this video ready, and there it is. So remember, OSCHA slings.com, and let's play the video.
Hi everybody, it's Green Dragon here, one of the senior staffers from theonering.net, and I am very excited today to be talking to Hannah from Oscha, all the way from Edinburgh in Scotland, which is usually near where I live because I live in Glasgow in Scotland, but I'm in America at the moment. Hannah, welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Hi there, lovely to meet you, and we're really excited to share lots of info on what we've got going on at Oscha.
I'm excited too because I'm a huge fan of Oscha's designs. I can see that you're wearing one of the baby slings there, but I have to just say that I don't have any children and I still have a ton of Oscha stuff because your designs are so spectacular and you have so many different things. So just tell me a little bit about the company.
Yes, absolutely. So we're based here in Edinburgh in Scotland, and we've been running since 2010, and we're primarily a baby wearing company, so baby slings and accessories, but we also make fashion accessories. And I would say about 5 years ago, we started to get into the Middle Earth range. So we actually approached Middle Earth Enterprises, and we felt that the kind of mythology and Tolkien's works and his writings would really make brilliant baby slings, and there'd be so much inspiration that we could draw from, and we were super excited to explore that avenue. And now we have a whole range of Middle Earth baby slings and shawls and bags and handbags and all sorts of different things that you can either carry your baby in or you can just enjoy as a Middle Earth fan.
And that's how we got to know you, because theonering.net is also licensed by Middle Earth Enterprises. And so, and those guys are great about sort of introducing small businesses to other groups who are, not that the One Ring is a business, but, it's been very exciting to us to meet the small businesses who are working with Middle Earth Enterprises and to see the beautiful work that you do. And as I said, I think I have a couple of mugs and I have a throw and this stuff. Ooh. There's a mug. Love it. That's really beautiful. So tell us though, we not that long ago hosted a competition with you guys for a new design. And I believe that you have that winning design to share with us today.
Absolutely, I do. So this is our winning design. It's called Hobbit Quest, and I have a baby wrap here to show you, which is a little bit easier to see all of the designs. So Carrie Johnson is the winner of our design competition, and unbeknownst to us, she's actually one of our Oscha customers, and she carried her baby in a sling when they were little. So she kind of understands kind of what you need in a wrap, if you like. And this baby wrap is actually a mirrored design of the Hobbit Quest. So it depicts the section of the story where the dwarves and Bilbo have come through the Misty Mountains, and then they've made their way through the Mirk Forest, or the Mirkwood, sorry, and they are coming along the forest river and then come down the barrels into the long lake.
Yeah.
So I'm going to show you some of the
it's
elements
beautiful. I see Gandalf there with his staff, and I see an eagle overhead in the sky. That is just spectacular. Look at that. That's so beautiful. And the runes running along the top there. And
yeah, so the runes translate to, may the wind under your wings bear you where the sun sails and the moon walks. So that's a quote from The Hobbit as
beautiful.
well.
And on that half, you've got the sun that's sailing, and on the other half, you've got the moon walking. Oh, look at that.
Moon. And then you have the bear here, so that's Bjorn the bear.
Yeah. I see we've got a dragon in the sky there.
Yes, we have Smaug in the sky.
Yeah. That's amazing.
And we have the Lonely Mountain as well.
And it looks like there's even a spider's web in Mirkwood.
Yes,
I love those details. Wow.
In Mirkwood, yes.
That is so beautiful. That design is extraordinary. I think, like, so to this point, your Misty Mountains design has been my favorite from Oscha, but I think this one could be a competitor to be my favorite. That is absolutely stunning. And so that was the one that Carrie designed that won the competition. And now there it is.
Indeed, yeah. So we worked with her. So it's quite a long process to take a design from the very beginning and then kind of take it into a structure that can be worked on with woven into woven cloth, because all of our slings are all woven here in the UK. We work with a weaving loom in England, and then we stitch and sew everything up here in Scotland. So there's lots of testing and trialing that goes on with especially such an intricate design like this, where you've got so many different elements.
Yeah.
You want to make sure that everything is really showing to the absolute best, and obviously then depending on what yarns you use. So this one is actually a recycled wool and cotton, organic combed cotton, this particular release, but we do bring out these designs in different colorways and different yarn types and blends. So yeah, but this one certainly will be lovely for the winter, and you could even use it as a shawl or at the end of your bed, or you know.
I was thinking I would drape that over the end of my bed, or I would maybe hang it on my wall. That is just stunning. And the exciting news for supporters and followers of the OneRing.net is we're going to be giving one of these away. So Oscha have very kindly given us one of these wraps, such as Hannah is holding up for you there, that we're going to be giving away. You can look out for that. We'll be launching that on the Facebook page on Hobbit Day on the 22nd of September. So look out for that contest. And I think, Hannah, you mentioned to me earlier that you might have a couple of little sneak previews of designs to give us today as well. We always love exclusives on the One Ring, so
yes, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. So we actually have brand new throw, which I want to show you, and this is the first time that we will be revealing this to any of our audience. So hold on a second and I will show you this new throw colorway. So this is a map of Middle-earth.
Wow.
In throw form.
Look at that, it's huge.
Yes, and it's brushed cotton, so it's a lovely cuddly feel.
Yeah, it looks kind of almost velvety.
Yes, it is. It's lovely, and it's easy care as well, which is great, so you can wash it. But it has the different locations all over Middle-earth, and it kind of goes from a lovely blue, dark blue to the kind of lighter.
Oh, that is just stunning. That is stunning. Thanks for sharing that with us. Now, you just mentioned locations in Middle Earth, and you're in Scotland. So I have to ask you, okay, we know the first season of the Amazon Lord of the Rings show has wrapped, and we know that they're coming to the UK to film the second season. Now, we don't know where in the UK. All that they've said is UK. So could be England, could be Wales, could be Northern Ireland, but my money is on Scotland. In fact, because Amazon, we know, have filmed several things at Leith Dock Studios in Edinburgh, so just down the road from you, I think they might end up filming there. Is that exciting to you?
Yes, absolutely. We were thrilled to hear that Amazon are planning on coming over to the UK. I know it was rumoured in the past, or maybe it was even planned in the past, and then they changed their mind and went back to New Zealand again. But we are so excited with the prospect of certainly the UK, and knowing the landscape here in the Highlands of Scotland, I mean, it would just make the most dramatic backdrop. And you have stunning locations like Glencoe, or even the Coolin Mountains and Skye. There's just so many kind of diverse mountainous forests, you know, lots of different locations they could choose from, and we absolutely would be delighted if that was where the new series was going to be set.
Yeah, wouldn't that be exciting? You can see even on the sling that you're modeling there that you've got mountains and woods, that absolutely I can picture places in Scotland where they could film those locations. And if they want coastlines, Greyhaven style coastlines, we've got spectacular coastlines on the northwestern shore as well. So I think it would be great. Now, would you go and sign up to try and be an extra? And if you did, what would you want to be? Would you be an elf?
I think I definitely would be an elf. I think that would be definitely where I see myself. So yes, I mean, absolutely. It would just be so exciting to be able to even just see some of that action, or to even just kind of see some of the footage from the set, or if they do behind the scenes. I know that was a big thing for Game of Thrones and that kind of thing. You know, you can see all of the making, and you can go and see the sets, and you can understand how they kind of transformed things into those mythical places. And I think that would be really exciting for Scotland. And you know, we have a lot of brilliant tourism here anyway, but can you imagine if you had that added extra association with the landscape?
Yeah, I mean, to me it's immensely exciting, and you know, living in Glasgow, I would definitely want to try to get to be in the show somehow. But I have a feeling that Amazon would do a little tiny bit of research and find out that I write for the OneRing.net and would be like, she's a spy. And so that would,
yes.
So Hannah, if the One Ring's followers and viewers want to find Oscha's incredible, stunning products, where is the best place for them to look for you on social media, on the internet?
Yes, so we have a brilliant Facebook community, actually, similar to the One Ring. We have a really great Facebook group called Clan Oscha, which is where we chat all about Oscha slings, baby wearing slings. It's mostly focused on the sling products. But what I would say is we have a brilliant Middle Earth collectors group. So it's called Oscha Middle Earth Collectors. And if you're interested in anything to do with anything you've heard today about our products or our designs, then you should definitely join that group, and the members will help you out, and you can sort of fall down the rabbit hole, if you like, and get involved there.
Brilliant. So just to let folks know, Oscha is spelled Oscha. And as I say, their stuff is really, seriously, do yourselves a favor. You should take a look at their throws, wraps, mugs. Their designs are just stunning. And I'm really excited to see Carrie's work that won the competition brought to life. And I'm excited to see sneak previews. And I'm excited to think that we might both be able to sneak onto a set sometime if they're filming in Scotland.
That would be lovely.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me, and hopefully we can meet in person again sometime soon.
I hope so too. I hope so too, as we move out of pandemic days and things like that start happening again.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me.
Take care. Thanks for being with us today. Bye.
Okay, bye.
And thank you, Kirsten, for getting us that exclusive debut of those wonderful things. I just want to buy all of them. And I'm glad the chat room agreed with me, seeing all your positive comments. I mean, the details on there are extraordinary. Well, as long as you're still here, those of you that stayed with me, a little time for Green Dragon gossip. No, actually, I shouldn't. I will get a lot of people in trouble if I talk. But why is this on screen? Guess what, folks? Next Tuesday, the author of this book, The Nature of Middle Earth, Carl Hostetter, has agreed to come on our show and do it live. We are going to ask the questions that you put in the chat and the questions that you text us on the hotline. Remember, hotline is hot. 530-64-FRODO. Make sure you got that saved in your phone. So next Tuesday, live, the author and editor of this book, J.R.R. Tolkien's The Nature of Middle-earth, the man that has held the notes of J.R.R. Tolkien himself and studied and put it all together. We're going to go deep. I know you've probably seen other interviews, and I know he's done a bunch of podcasts, but we're one of the last stops on his media tour, and so we're going to go deep, and we want you to come with us. So make sure you buy the book, buy it digitally. Make sure you read it this week and write down all of your questions, even the most detailed. Like if something doesn't make sense in the book, we're going to have him on for the whole hour and we're going to go deep on this. So guys, this is going to be a wonderful, wonderful conversation, and it's going to be live next week. And because he's probably said the same things to every other podcast, you know how these media book tours go, right? They say the same stories here and there. We don't need to go over all that. I've watched Nerd of the Rings interview him. I watched Prancing Pony podcast, talked with him. He's talked with everybody. So it's time to get nitty gritty. Okay, guys? So read the book, buy it, read it this week. Get your notes ready. And let's ask him the most detailed questions. Let's challenge him on some of the things that are in the book, if you can believe it. Some of the things I can't believe it. So Alex wants to ask him about Galadriel's hair. Princess Toy Nerd, you're reading the book right now. Good. Author, editor, whatever. Yeah, that's my first question to him. Are you the author? Are you an editor? According to the title, you're the edited by, but you know, how much of the wordplay in the book is Tolkien's thoughts transcribed, and how much of it is Carl putting pieces together? I can imagine there's a bunch of like post-it notes or scribbles on different pages, and he just kind of put it all together. So anyway, so next week we're gonna go deep, right? So watch all the other YouTube interviews with Nerd of the Rings and go to the Prancing Pony podcast. Listen to the interviews that Carl Hostetter has been doing with all the Tolkien accounts, because we want to ask the questions next week that no one has asked, because that's what's fun about this show. So you guys, thank you for joining us on Torn Tuesday. Me and Sauron. And we will see you next week live with author and editor Carl Hostetter, and hopefully QuickBeam 2000. And what does he say? Good night and good luck. Buenos noches y buena suerte. See ya.